Hello and welcome to another marvelous video. Warhammer 40k is a popular tabletop wargame created by Games Workshop. It takes place in a bleak and dystopian future set in the 41st millennium, where humanity faces numerous adversaries, including supernatural entities and aggressive extraterrestrial species. Today, our focus will be on a particular extraterrestrial race known as the Tyranids, who are a formidable menace within the Warhammer 40k universe and represent a species that instills great fear into humanity. Operating as a hive mind, they possess a collective consciousness governing their actions. Their primary objective revolves around consuming all forms of organic life spread throughout the galaxy. To acquire a thorough comprehension of this species, our objective in today's video is to explore the intricacies of the Tyranid's anatomy, delving into its detailed aspects. So, without further ado, let's begin. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. What type of species are the Tyranids? Are they related to Earth's sea creatures? The Tyranids are a vile and insect-like extragalactic species composed of various forms, comprising a vast ecosystem capable of space travel. Despite their diverse appearances, these bioforms share a common genetic foundation. Humanity has never encountered a species quite like the Tyranids. They represent the ultimate hunters, viewing all living beings, regardless of their size or technological advancements, as mere targets. The Tyranid species focuses entirely on its survival, reproduction, and evolutionary progress. Together, they create a terrifying superorganism that traverses the cosmos using massive hive fleets composed of biomechanical hive ships. Their primary objective is to consume all forms of biomatter systematically, fueling their rapid evolution and proliferation. The three major Tyranid hive fleets have names that reference legendary marine creatures. Although it may seem insignificant and possibly a creation of the game's writers, a plausible historical theory suggests a connection between the Tyranids and ancient Earth's sea creatures. According to the rumor, the sea creatures found on Earth could be a distinct subset of a Tyranid hive fleet, lacking a leader linked to the collective network. This is why they do not exhibit the same collective behavior observed in most Tyranids. However, this rumor is difficult to accept as it implies that the Tyranids have previously visited the solar system. Nonetheless, the Warhammer 40k universe has witnessed many improbable events that turned out to be true, so the notion is not entirely implausible.
Victory as the Imperium rots around us. Victory as humanity rages against the dying of the light.
The Tyranids have a specific form, or are they shapeless? When the conventional Tyranid hive mind reaches the orbital vicinity of a target planet, previously scouted by its gene sealer agents, it generates fresh Tyranid organisms using biomass available within its ship. These newly created Tyranids follow a standardized design, taking inspiration from the encounters and assimilation of life forms on the planets previously consumed by the Tyranids. They possess remarkable expertise in genetic engineering, allowing them to intricately craft specialized species of Tyranids to effectively tackle and overcome various challenging prey organisms encountered on planetary surfaces. This capability enables them to adapt to new or formidable life forms by utilizing the stored biomass within their hive ship. The hive mind tends to eliminate bioforms that are currently not required and generates new ones as needed. Once a swarm of Tyranids has successfully subdued a planet, they willingly immerse themselves in digestion pools, where they are broken down into a liquid state and consumed by a hive ship. The ship then retains and likely consumes a portion of the liquid as it travels to the next planet. Upon arrival, the Norn Queens utilize the stored material to give birth to an entirely new force. These newly formed bioforms are created in their intended shape and do not undergo modifications from a pre-existing form. However, it is important to note that the hive mind represents the entirety of the Tyranid species, so its fundamental form encompasses the collective of all Tyranids. Tyranids absorb souls. The 2014 short story Wraithflight suggests that when Tyranids consume intelligent biomass, they also consume the essence of the soul associated with that biomass. Without this aspect, the threat of endless torment wouldn't hold much weight, as the Tyranids could simply devour their prey and be done with it. If this proposition is true, it could offer an intriguing explanation for the overwhelming psychic presence of the Tyranids. They don't just consume biomass, but also devour the souls of the beings they encounter, incorporating them into the collective known as the Shadow in the Warp. Other accounts surrounding the fall of Shadowbrink mention that Tyranids initially ignored the demonic invasion, likely because demons lack biomass. However, it raises the question of whether the Tyranids' initial response was also due to the absence of souls in demons. Regarding the concept of souls, it remains uncertain. However, the Tyranids certainly possess the ability to absorb the DNA of the creatures they consume, utilizing it to undergo purposeful evolution and self-alteration. After all, they are an ever-evolving force capable of adapting, enhancing themselves, and surpassing even the most steadfast races in the Warhammer universe. An intriguing aspect is that the Tyranids are essentially genetic clones. When a superior and larger variant of a creature is created within the depths of a hive ship by a Norn queen, the genetic information is transmitted to other queens through their psychic synaptic network. This allows other hives to produce their own abundant replicas promptly. Do Tyranids have a psychic bond? The Tyranids possess a collective psychic connection known as the synapse, which unites all members of their swarms. This bond allows the Tyranid forces to operate as a single cohesive organism, enabling seamless coordination and control within their vast and numerous invasionary forces, which would otherwise be highly unwieldy. Every Tyranid organism, regardless of its size or role, has a designated place within the overarching will of the hive mind. The smaller organisms function instinctually and lack conscious awareness, serving as mindless animals, plants, or bacteria that perform their tasks without conscious oversight. In contrast, larger and more complex creatures possess the ability to make decisions appropriate to the situation, becoming a vital but minute component of the distributed sentient awareness of the hive mind. Operating in perfect harmony, the various components of the Tyranids are guided by potent psychic imperatives transmitted through their communal sentience. Instead of relying on a singular command structure, they form a complex synaptic web of psychic influence and feedback. In this complex network, specialized synapse creatures play vital roles as key elements, acting as psychic conduits and central points. Their role involves coordinating and regulating the tumultuous amalgamation of collective brainpower the massive organism possesses, which can often surpass the size of entire planets. The presence of these synapse creatures is crucial, as their localized control ensures the stability and coherence of the swarm. Without them, the swarm's cohesion can quickly deteriorate, leading to Tyranid creatures reverting to seemingly instinctual behaviors. Individual volition and situational instincts may clash, causing disruptions. In such cases, the swarms may splinter into more miniature packs, enabling consensual behavior among the creatures within these subdivisions. The entities responsible for transmitting the commands of the hive mind are primarily, if not exclusively, powerful individual psychers. However, the mechanics of accomplishing this without attracting numerous demons of chaos or other predatory beings from the warp into the midst of the Tyranid swarm remain unclear and perhaps beyond comprehension. How do they reproduce? The Norn queens of a Tyranid hive fleet depend on a continuous supply of genetic material and undifferentiated nutrient biomass, which consists of a slurry containing organic and inorganic chemicals like proteins, carbohydrates, minerals, and nucleic acids. This biomass is primarily obtained from the reclamation pools found on the surface of target planets. Tyranid bioforms, particularly the capillary towers, facilitate the slurry transfer from the planet's surface to the orbiting Tyranid hive ships. Alongside the slurry, the Norn queens receive genetic material through direct contributions from other Tyranid bioforms, like the coffin crawlers. These coffin crawlers reside within the bioships of the hive fleet, where they consume captured organisms. As these bioforms feed, their bodies gradually expand in size. Eventually, they journey toward the swarm queens, where the queens themselves absorb them. The collected raw material is fed into the prominent jaws situated at the upper part of the Norn Queen, where it undergoes processing by the genetic shredder organs. The deconstructed DNA structures form an extensive reservoir of diverse genotypes, creating a vast gene bank. These genetic resources can then be employed within the biomolecular machinery of the Norn Queen to synthesize and create novel bioforms. This organic genetic engineering process resembles the functioning of a mammalian immune system, as it retains the biochemical structure of every absorbed DNA sequence, similar to how an immune system remembers encountered pathogens. These absorbed DNA sequences serve as the basis for splicing and mutation, creating new Tyranid creatures. Once a Norn Queen has engineered a specific bioform to fulfill a predetermined purpose, other Norn Queens within the same hive fleet can clone additional bioforms of that type. The Norn Queens employ various reproductive methods to ensure maximum efficiency. Many Tyranid bioforms are born as tiny repulsive larvae or eggs that require further nurturing before hatching and rapidly developing into adult forms. Rows of ovipository orifices on the flanks of a Norn Queen release clusters of Tyranid eggs, while nutrient-filled depressions on its upper surface teem with maggot-like larvae. Fetal amniotic sacs containing other bioforms hang like ripe fruit from umbilical cords, and massive teleporter worms emerge from incubator pouches on the Norn Queen's sides. Some of the simplest Tyranid bioforms directly emerge in their fully mature state. They are promptly assigned their intended roles by small Tyranid worker bioforms whose sole purpose is to sustain and support the Norn Queens of the hive fleet.
That swarm and multiply in grotesque profusion. The vanguard of the Tyranid threat, infesting ships and planets.
How do they control themselves? Or does something else control them? The hive fleets establish communication among themselves by utilizing a shared consciousness called the hive mind. The hive mind assimilates the knowledge from all Tyranids and employs it to formulate plans regarding which planets to exploit for resources and how to carry out such operations. Furthermore, it possesses the capability to infiltrate the thoughts of various organisms and effectively disrupt interstellar communications. Even individuals with psychic abilities or expertise in manipulating the energy of the warp find it impossible to grasp the hive mind's intricacies fully. Those who dare to attempt often succumb to complete insanity or demise. Within the hive mind, the Norn Queen and Hive Tyrant bioforms hold the highest positions of synaptic authority. These creatures can be considered the closest approximation to intelligent and conscious beings within the collective organism of the hive. It is plausible and highly probable that the Hive Tyrant exerts significant dominance and influence over the overall gestalt nature of the hive mind. However, Norn Queens could also be categorized as the control center Tyranids. While Hive Tyrant forms are commonly regarded as manifestations of the hive mind does have contingency plans in case a Tyrant perishes during an operation. In contrast, when a Norn Queen is killed, it emits a powerful psionic backlash that effectively disables ongoing operations regardless of the presence of a Tyrant. Additionally, the death of a Norn Queen triggers an automatic response within the hive mind, creating multiple new Norn Queens. Due to their unique characteristics and role, Norn Queens are typically housed deep within the largest hive ships, away from direct conflict. They serve as strategic overseers rather than frontline assets, being afforded extensive protection, often surpassing even the most formidable tyrants. The origin of this Gestalt consciousness, whether engineered like the Orcs or naturally evolved, remains uncertain. However, what is known is that this collective consciousness is remarkably efficient and resilient. The network structure of the Tyranid command ensures that it remains unaffected by the failure of any single component, making it impressively fault-tolerant.
The Forsaken Doom date back to the beginning of the 41st millennium, when a party of Ultramarines boarded the Great Hulk on a mission of purification.
How can Tyranids travel through space? Unlike other factions, Tyranids do not utilize warp jumps for interstellar travel. Instead, they rely on their narval ships. These narval ships are equipped with monofilament spines concentrated along their bows, capable of interpreting various sensory inputs, including a wide range of gravimetric signals. Using this technology, a narval can detect the presence of a planetary system from a great distance. The narval then employs the system's gravitational forces to create a compressed space corridor, enabling Tyranid vessels to travel swiftly toward the targeted system. While this method is slower than conventional warp travel, it offers unparalleled reliability, ensuring a higher level of success and avoiding the unpredictable nature of the warp. Nevertheless, specific side effects benefit the Tyranids in their approach. As a result of the narval's abilities, the targeted planets often experience phenomena such as solar flares, tidal waves, earthquakes, or other natural disasters. Interestingly, these side effects serve to distract and disorganize the defenders, keeping them preoccupied during the Tyranids' advance. The question that remains unanswered is how the Tyranids traverse the vast distances between galaxies. We still lack complete certainty on this aspect, which remains one of the most enigmatic mysteries that may never be fully resolved in the Warhammer 40k universe. The narval's ability may possess an exceptionally vast range, allowing the Tyranids to navigate such intergalactic journeys. How powerful are the Tyranids? The Tyranid species consists of an immense number of insectoid aliens, essentially limitless in quantity, each possessing formidable abilities as lethal combatants. They are further supported by colossal creatures composed of durable outer layers and flesh. The Tyranids show no regard for casualties, as their fallen members are literally recycled without the need for any training. Instead, they are transformed into genetic material within vast living caverns housed on hive ships. These organisms exhibit a near immunity to poisons and are even capable of producing deadly toxins that surpass the resilience of Astartes biology, rendering them highly lethal. They also instill psychic power, particularly within the warp, where the hive mind represents a culmination of countless Tyranid essences across all hive fleets. It is referred to as the shadow in the warp, and its implications are significant. It acts as an opposing force to the Astronomicon, the powerful psychic beacon of the Imperium. Even the Chaos Gods, who are the most formidable psychic entities in the galaxy, fear the presence of the Tyranids. The dread is so overwhelming that psychers often choose mass suicide over facing the incomprehensible horror. Furthermore, the Tyranids possess exceptional espionage capabilities, employing gene stealers to manipulate and modify the genetic makeup of infected species. These gene stealers can even exert mind control, ensuring that when the hive fleet eventually arrives, the planet willingly surrenders itself to be consumed by what the inhabitants perceive as their gods. However, leaving all this aside, their most significant advantage surpasses all of the attributes mentioned until now. We're talking about their adaptability. In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, most races lack adaptability, yet the Tyranids possess it in abundance. They incorporate exoskeletons inspired by the robust bone structure of the Space Marines. At the same time, their psychic powers manifested through creatures like the zoanthropes have been refined to greater heights through the consumption of Eldar knowledge and essence. This unparalleled adaptability instills terror and renders the Tyranids one of the only two races in the galaxy theoretically capable of winning an entire galactic war. With their formidable strength, the Tyranids emerge as a highly formidable adversary. Their conquests have seen them triumph over numerous worlds, posing a significant threat to the Imperium of Man. Nonetheless, it is crucial to acknowledge that they are not invincible. There have been instances where they have been defeated, and the possibility remains that they could be overcome once more, which brings us to our final question.
Across the years, I was able to gather the pieces of the puzzle and prepare. All that I required was a new brand of undaunted heroes that I could guide to triumph.
How to defeat the Tyranids. The smaller Tyranid castes can generally be engaged using conventional weapons. However, larger Tyranid creatures possess thick hides and can withstand most forms of weaponry unless it's plasma-based, armor-piercing, or equipped with explosive tips. Even in the face of such specialized armaments, some of the more evolved Tyranid combat forms exhibit remarkable regenerative abilities, allowing them to recover from severe injuries swiftly. Only a sustained barrage of fire over extended periods of time can have a marginal impact on their numbers. Overall, the Tyranids present an unstoppable force akin to an overwhelming tide, making it more advisable to flee rather than to engage in direct combat. In the novel Warriors of Ultramar by Graham McNeil, a method to defeat the Tyranids is depicted. A Magos biologist working under Inquisitor Cryptman develops a mutagenic substance to combat the hive fleet encircling Tarsus Ultra. When intentionally introduced into the original Tyranid strain, this mutagen triggers rapid and agonizing mutations, rendering the smaller Tyranids without synapse leadership. Consequently, they become more vulnerable to elimination as they no longer receive guidance from the hive mind. However, implementing this strategy is challenging due to the diverse genetic makeup of Tyranid hive fleets. Each hive fleet assimilates and incorporates different genetic material, leading to genetic variations and slight differences in mutations between fleets, which brings us to a specific type of Tyranid creature called the lictors. The lictors possess relatively pure DNA compared to other organisms within the hive fleet. Being among the least evolved and mutated, lictors tend to retain the original strain of the Tyranid genetic material. This characteristic makes it easier to extract and obtain a virus weapon targeted explicitly against the main Tyranid ships leading a particular hive fleet, even if the genetic strains of the fleet undergo mutations. In the novel Warriors of Ultramar, the protagonist, Uriel Ventress, the captain of the Ultramarines' 4th Company, acquires the mutagen from a captured lictor. Ventress then infiltrates the main Tyranid ship where the Tyranid Hive Queen resides and introduces the mutagen into her. This leads to an extensive overmutation, resulting in the demise of the Tyranid Hive Queen and the entire fleet. Consequently, the gaunt creatures are left leaderless, making them more susceptible to being targeted and destroyed. Therefore, in theory, if one can locate one of the oldest original Tyranid strains, particularly from a lictor, it is theoretically possible to prepare a mutagen capable of devastating the Tyranid race by targeting their specific genetic makeup. The Imperium of Man would likely need to approach the Tyranid threat by isolating and confronting each hive fleet individually. The probability of locating the original strain of all Tyranids across different hive fleets is low, making the development of a single solution that targets the entirety of the Tyranid race extremely unlikely. However, by focusing on destroying multiple hive fleets through a strategic approach, the Imperium could potentially migrate the Tyranid menace and deal significant blows to their overall strength. Marvelous verdict. That brings us to the end of this video. The Tyranids present an enthralling and intricate species. Their anatomy is a fusion of otherworldly features and horrifying aspects, highlighting their remarkable bioengineering capabilities that have enabled the creation of a diverse and highly adaptable array of creatures. It is important to note that the Tyranids are constantly evolving and adapting, indicating that their anatomy is likely to undergo changes and refinements in the future. As such, the galaxy's future remains uncertain, but one certainty is the prominent role that the Tyranids will continue to play in shaping its destiny. What do you think about the Tyranids? Let us know in the comments section down below, and if you enjoyed this video, remember to click the like button and share this video with all your favorite Warhammer 40k friends. In the meantime, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.
As thousands of worlds are under threat of Tyranid infestation, any advantage we can gain will tip the balance between life and death for billions.